But, well, he becomes a follower of the Bab, and he has great ties to the royalty. He was a relative, distant relative of the Queen Mother, the Shah of Iran those days. And at the time that this advent of Bab happened in Iran, he went to Karbala, which is a holy place. And when he comes back, in his amazing surprise, he found the Bab was getting executed. He's in Tehran, and act is going to happen in Azerbaijan, which is, God, if you go with a horse, I don't know, even if you want to go with the car, it's going to take you 10 hours. But you want to go with the horse, you have to go really fast. Baha'u'llah tell him, get on, and go see what you can do to help Bab. When he comes there, he's really angry, of this. When he gets there, he says it's too late. The Bab has been martyred. I know his conditions, believe me. You do not know how devastating it is for him. He was a big, powerful individual, and Bab was a young man, 25. He was totally in love with Bab and wanted to just save this Prince of Heaven any ways he could, but it was too late. He was going to basically do a few things that would end up him killing, that would stop him. And the body of the Bab was left outside when they 750 bullet in his chest overnight. He goes along with somebody else. They actually take away the body of the Bab and hide it because they were afraid that these people are going to burn it or do whatever. Just totally to say that he hides it. The issue went on, and nobody knew what kind of a pain is in the Suleiman's heart. That was a huge pain in him. After the Bab dies, actually a couple of people of his own province, they took this very hard, and they took some gun with a pallet, not bullet, the pallet, just because they didn't know what gun is. They took the pallet and they shot the king with a pallet. That you can't kill them on rabbits. Well, they hit the Shah, but didn't die. They opened it up, they saw, well, this is it. It's all pallet. Because of that, many Babis were taken, and they were going to be all killed because they said this is what's happened. As a result, Baha'u'llah, which at that time was not in confinement, he was taken, chained, and taken from his residence, and they were put him in the dungeon of Tehran. One of these people at that time was arrested for the crime of being Babi, the follower of the Bab, was this Suleiman. They take Suleiman, and what they were doing to the Babis were very difficult to watch. One of the Austrians at that time was working in the Austrian embassy. He says, I've imprisoned, put myself into my room and locked myself in. I don't want to come out because what they're doing outside of my window to these Babis is just nothing that you can see. They nail their foot, they put molten lead in their mouth, they put the rope around the neck from both sides, they pull it. They do some seriously heinous act. Much worse than the one European did at the time of Inquisitions, like burning of Joan of Arc. Those sort of things was happening. So he says, I'm resigning and I want to go back to my country and I want to watch these things. At these circumstances, they take, Suleiman. Well, the issue goes, reached that the Queen Mother, that Suleiman is taken, and she knew this is one of the relatives. She sends the message not to kill Suleiman. Just tell him in public, say you're not a Babi and we let you go. But you can be Babi for yourself. Just don't say it in public. Suleiman, who had a heart so fired up because the way Bab died and he couldn't help, he says, tell her that the worst thing in my life is, the shame in my life is my relationship to you. The fact that you know me. And the only thing that's good for me is that I know the Bab, my beloved. So they relay the message to the Queen Mother, and she says, okay, don't kill him like you were killing other people. Ask him how he wants to die. As Suleiman says to this answer, something that's very difficult to comprehend for the people in North America. People in Iran, they know this. They had thousands, many years in the past, 600-700 years, many martyrs. So they're kind of familiar with this, how hard it could be for a person that he would reach to a realm of enthusiasm that does that. Suleiman said, this is how I want you to kill me. I want you to drill a hole in my body and install candles in it. I want those candles to enlighten these nights. And then you take me, show me all around town, and then kill me after that. I want everybody to see me, that I'm enlightened with the power of God, light. So to explain this condition is very difficult. In my Masnavi, in order to explain this, I've related a story, which I'm going to tell you to do today, so you might get the point, what we're trying to say here. In my story, I explained that there were two young lovers. They loved each other very much, and they had a lot of problem as far as their religious difference and this and that, racial differences, economical differences. In countries like Iran, a condition like Romeo and Juliet, they would never let them to marry. But God, helped them. They were lucky, and they just escaped from their families, and they go somewhere else, and they marry, and they become successful in their life, and they have all the money, everything else. And now this man has a couple of kids and his wife in a nice house. This is just a story. I'm trying to convey the message within this example and this story. One day this guy had a phone call, let's say in the morning, and he had to rush to where he has to go. As he gets out of the bed, the wife and the kids are sleeping, he goes to the stove. The stove was, as it is the case in Iran, they're a gas stove, so he started the stove, but for some reason he forgot to lighten it, or the light didn't come through. He had to rush. He goes. As he goes, all of a sudden in the middle of it, he says, God, did I shut down that stove or not? He was just thinking, the kids are sleeping, she's sleeping. My God, I'm not sure. This is crazy, I gotta go back. He feels very worried, really worried. Worries comes to him. He comes back. He says, let go of what I have to go. That's wrong. I gotta go back home. So he rushes back to the home to see, because this is bad, if the stove is up, He comes and he sees the whole house is burned. The whole thing is in flames. There's nothing in it. His wife, his two children, they all died. The pain that he's experiencing there is so big. His most beloved love and his children died by his own hand. You say the person gets nervous breakdown. Yeah? What do we do with the people like that? If something like that happens, I would have to use a balancing power. I would be there, I would order to take some huge couple of people to beat the hell out of this man. Physically beat him up. You would think it's crazy. Yeah, it is, but that's the only solution. His brain is so much into the event that's in front of him, and there's no answer to it. The brain cannot find an answer, cannot accept the situation. It will collapse. So I will beat him up, harsh, so he responds to the physical pain in his arm, in his flesh, when he responds to this pain, he tends to leave the event out. He's so selfless at that time that I like to make him selfish, to bring him back to his pain. If I want to save his physical life, I have to beat him up. It's a very strange remedy, isn't it? But that is how you could balance when there's a lot of pain that is dragging the person, that's killing him. Mental pain, you have to give him physical pain. So he responds his brain to the pain in the body, and do not think too much about that to save him. Suleiman had this kind of a condition. It was burning, he was burning inside. So very hard. Very, very hard. It's like his best beloved, his God, try to understand, died, and he's blaming himself. He thinks if he was there, he would have stopped this, he would prevent this. But he wasn't. This blame was burning him. He was looking for a revenge. But he's a spiritual being. He can't take a revenge from himself or from others. Then he would be psycho. He can do that. But he was waiting. The time comes that when the law of God tells him that he should not recant his faith. Like Peter in the Bible did it, 3 times denied Christ. But when he was older and grown up, when they asked him, now what you say, he said, I am Christian, follower of Christ, go ahead and crucify me. When he grew up, he accepted the faith. In this case, Suleiman was in the same way. When the order came, he said, good time to show that I'm a Baha'i, because I am a Baha'i, I am the follower of the Bab, and nothing can stop me from that. Go ahead, test me to see. So there's a couple of lines. There's one poem that's related to him. I'm just translated in a lame way, but it still gives you the purpose and the meaning of this. He says, your love cast a flame on my soul and body. I'm consumed by the burning bush. Here is a reference to the burning bush that Moses went into the mountain. And the burning bush said, look at me, I am God. He says, that burning bush has consumed me, he says. It has enlightened my crop of my being. He says, my entire being has been enlightened by this. I wonder, who is this me myself? Is this my foot or my head? He was trying to say that I'm so exuberant that I don't know who am I. In the next line he says, your love has engulfed me from foot to head. I have become you. You have come in place of me. He says to God, I have become you. You have come in the place of me. Again he says, who is my being if you are me? He says to God. If you are me, what then is this myself? It's a very special station. What is he referring to? So much we spoke about love. Love, we said, is the distance, separation between the two things that has to become one. And because they are separated, that there is a love relation there. In this way, in that spiritual height, Baha'ullah has a very strange word, which, by the way, it's a quote that Baha'u'llah used from the past in the Islamic revelations. And that is this: love is a veil betwixt lover and beloved. In the Four Valleys, he says the very love become a veil between lover and beloved. If there is a love relation, then one is lover, one is beloved, he says. And that is a veil. What condition of their spirituality are we looking for? Where love and that spiritual height becomes a veil. Can you imagine what condition would that be?